With the Browns' injury report growing by the day, plus a quarterback on the verge of being benched, the Eagles' now healthy roster should be poised for what hopefully is a big win, if they can fix their biggest issue on offense. Plus, what impact can these two young Eagles have on Sunday, and why Nick Sirianni, he's not shying away from calling out his team. From Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. With just one day before a Sunday afternoon matchup with the struggling Cleveland Browns, I think the vibes surrounding Philadelphia after this long bye week are probably the best we've seen all year. With key players now all full participants in practice and seemingly ready to unveil a full-strength Eagles team, the likes of which we've not seen, at least altogether, since the Week 1 win against the Packers. Not surprisingly, also the only game the Birds have scored 30-plus points this year. And while the experts are all taking the Birds, who are now over a touchdown favorite at home, let's do our weekly guess at Jalen Hurts' stats for Sunday's game versus the Browns by going down below and giving me Jalen Hurts' yards, touchdowns, and interceptions in the comments section. If one of you gets it right, I'll go ahead and give them one of my new Thomas Macho t-shirts. Now, obviously, all eyes are on the Birds' head coach, who's been under fire this season, as the Birds have at times looked undisciplined and especially ill-prepared throughout their 2-2 start. However, little insight into Sirianni's messaging, courtesy of the Eagles' social media this team, was enough to get me at least a little fired up. Watch this.
You got to be so hungry for this. That's the only way it's going to take another step. And are you humble enough to say, hey, this is what I need to get better at? Are you hungry for it? Are you starving for this? Do you want it so bad that you can't sleep? So we got to make sure that we are honest with ourselves and we attack this thing. We know where we got to make some strides. And if the men in this room do that, right, sky's the limit.
Now, the lone Eagle limited in practice yesterday was Jakib Dean with a minor ankle tweak, leaving some fans wondering if Jeremiah Trotter Jr. could be in line for some reps on Sunday, as other rookies like DeJean and Jalen Hunt are both expected to see increased roles. And while the short answer is no, Dean has said he will start and seems just fine. Sirianni did confirm earlier this week that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is now the backup middle linebacker with Devin White gone and is ready to go if and when his number is called.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really excited about the guys in the room and the way they're progressing, and I think Coach King, our linebacker coach, is a great fundamental teacher. I just continually see them improving their fundamentals, in different aspects of block destruction and different things like that, blitzing, and so again, like I said, just excited about the room that we have and the depth that we have there. Guys that have played. Some guys that have played meaningful snaps, some guys, with that are young in this game as well. But just excited about the development and the growth opportunity that we have in that room.
Speaking of maybe being ready to go, we don't know yet if Cindy Brown will be activated to play tomorrow. Maybe by the time you watch this, it's officially clear that he is or is not. But he did practice all week, was a full go, and the head coach at least sounds pretty excited to have the second-year DB back.
Yeah, he had a good week too. Fun to have him out there. He's a good player, great worker, great teammate. He's had so many plays where he's just been standing back there and his mind has been so focused on, hey, I'm not in right now, but my mind's got to work in. And I've admired watching him do that from afar. But yeah, it was good to get him out there running around. I thought he had some good moments.
Now, the Browns, on the other hand, are not nearly as healthy, as over 20 players appeared on various injury reports this week, with their main focus being on their kind of up-and-down offensive line, which will still be without All-Pro Wyatt Teller and should feature a less than 100% Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin. Pair that with Deshaun Watson, who has the third slowest time to throw in the entire NFL and has 32 combined sacks and quarterback hits on dropbacks lasting over 3 seconds. That's 14 more than any other quarterback. And maybe, big maybe though, this is finally the week the Birds get some real pressure from their defensive line, which I've said every single week for the past 4 weeks, and so definitely not a guarantee, but it does feel like if you were going to get some sacks this week, looking at you, Bryce Huff, this is the team and this is the quarterback to do it against. Now, on the flip side, the Birds' offensive line obviously gets Lane Johnson back, and their whole goal is really going to be just slow down Myles Garrett. I mean, the all-world edge rusher currently leads the league in time to pressure, really by a lot here, and is going to be a handful for the Birds' O-line probably all day long.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are jet rushers up the field. I think they got the best one in the league in Myles. Zadarius, another great edge rusher. Thomas in the middle, so they do a good job of attacking the edges, creating lots of pressure. So, I got to practice against Schwartz's style for a long time. So, they're very good at what they do. very good at getting to the football. So overall, just a good talented defense.
And naturally, Lane Johnson being back should improve that, but 6 sacks last week versus the Bucs, not a good look. That's got to be at least under 3 come game time versus the Browns. Oh, and little side note here, speaking of pass rushers, Eagle fans will like this. How about an update on Hassan Reddick, who's obviously still holding out, but now a new report confirms that his agency, CAA, has parted ways with the former Eagle edge rusher, leaving Reddick now agentless in his ongoing battle with New York. And it is worth emphasizing, this is CAA choosing to leave Reddick, not the other way around, meaning this has all been Reddick's idea from the very beginning. Not a good look. And with Reddick losing now $800,000 a week, it's no surprise nobody wants to be associated with maybe one of the worst holdouts we've seen in recent history. Now back to the Browns defense. I know we focus in on obviously Deshaun Watson struggles, but the Browns defense has been very much up and down. Some solid performances, yes, against the pass, but overall they've been rough against the run, with the Commanders, for example, last week going for over 200 yards on the ground. And after a Bucs matchup that saw very few runs to Saquon Barkley, especially early, starting fast on the ground has got to be a major key. Remember, Philly is the only team in the NFL to not score a single point in the first quarter of any game this year, which is absolutely wild. Something Jalen Hurts told the media this week must change on Sunday.
And we haven't been able to do it as well as we want to this year. You know, we've had some good drives early, but maybe couldn't finish, or, you know, had a turnover, or, you know, all these different things. And so I think once we get going. We just have to be able to do that earlier. And so it's definitely a goal. Everybody's working towards that. We're just going to continue to take it day by day. I think, you know, we'll get to a point, you know, where we get rolling. It's just about continue to remain steadfast in it.
And it's changes like that and a whole bunch more that are going to be the main focus for Eagle fans on Sunday versus the Browns. How different will this team look from 2 weeks ago versus the Bucs, where they got absolutely worked on both offense and defense? If you take Hurts and Sirianni's words literally, though, it does sound like we should expect to see maybe a more disciplined team, maybe a more efficient team, if that's the right word. Overall, hopefully it's a good version of Philadelphia to get to 3-2.
Definitely have some thoughts of we know we got to start faster. We know we got to score in the first quarter, shoot, and so everything was on the table with as far as, you know, the style of plays, the players, how we call it, how the defense looks to open things up. And I had some good thoughts. We have some really good thoughts coming out of it. Obviously, not going to get into specifics. You'll see how that transpires. We put ourselves. I just, again, like I said about the bye week, there's just so much time. There's just so much room for growth because of the extra time that you get to really put the work in and grind it out to see what you can do better and what you do well.
You know, Coach Sirianni talked about the details today, and I think that's what it comes down to. From timing to communication, everyone being on the same page on the field in terms of what play is called and how we execute that play, defining it, you know, alleviating the gray and anything, and saying, hey, this is exactly what, you know, we're doing on this, and you know, with the talent we have, letting the talent take over when it's time to.
Putting the Browns away and breaking their will early is a massive key here. If you suddenly go down 7-0, 10-0 to Deshaun Watson, get them on a little bit of a roll, give them some confidence, it could get really, really ugly. But if you could start fast, 7-0 would be absolutely unbelievable. If they can do that, this should be a comfortable win for the Birds, which is obviously something I talked about on the Jakib media hit I did on their morning show yesterday with Xander and John.
If it goes bad, that's been a narrative. I've said from the start, Jeffrey Lurie's not that guy.
Okay.
He doesn't want to be that guy. He's not firing Nick Sirianni in the regular season.
Sure.
Just not going to do it. If they go 0-4, does that change? And hey, I can't even picture that.
Yeah.
So, but this is what everybody brings up. Could he be fired? Is there any scenario Nick Sirianni could be fired in the regular season?
I think I'll go with what I said on my show strictly after the Bucs game, right? And I've, you know, my Monday morning reaction show, and I think I said probably, quote, you like go back and find it. If they lose to the Browns, he will be fired. And whether that was a fan upset at what I saw in the Bucs game, whether I truly believe that, I'm starting to kind of lean off of it a little bit. But I think there is a scenario, right? If it's 41-10 or if it's 35-13, right? I mean, if they look absolutely horrible against the Cleveland Browns, I think it makes a massive, I think it does have an impact on Nick Sirianni. And mainly because, again, it is the Cleveland Browns. Like, we opened the show talking about how trap game this and, you know, technically Myles Garrett is really good and technically they could lose. But any fan who's watched the Cleveland Browns over the first 5 weeks of the NFL season knows that if you lose badly to the Cleveland Browns, it's going to be ugly in Philadelphia. And while I agree, Jeffrey Lurie, he's not the kind of guy to go ahead and fire midseason. I just could maybe see it happening if it got ugly enough. I wouldn't say no. However, I think that it would take multiple losses in a row. I think if you were to lose to the Browns and then lose to the New York Giants and look bad doing that as well, obviously the Saquon Barkley aspect, the divisional aspect, that would kind of ramp things up. But we're talking what ifs here in terms of them losing back-to-back games against bad football.
Well, it's not going to happen.
I don't see it happening. But I do think Nick Sirianni is 100% on whatever hot seat you want to call it, whether it's scalding hot or lukewarm or just a little, car warmer hot, nice and mild there. But if they obviously struggle this season, he's going to be fired. I mean, there's no if, ands, or buts. If they have a disappointing year, he'll be fired at the end of the season. But I do think there is a 10, 12, 13% chance if it's really ugly on Sunday, like multiple turnovers, double digits, Deshaun Watson looks like Clemson Deshaun Watson, then there'll at least be a conversation.
Oh, God. That would be the most Philly thing ever.
I can't imagine if that happens.
2021. I don't either.
Holy
the guy,
hell.
I mean, we had Sal Palantonio on last night on our night show, and he's like, Amari Cooper was running completely free last week, and Deshaun Watson just overthrows him by 10 yards, 12 yards. I mean, he's just not playing good football right now. So I think Watson has lost it in a way, and I also am not sure how much. He doesn't seem like he's dedicated to the game and improving his craft. Now, maybe I'm wrong on that, but we'll see what he's able to do. Thomas, let's get your prediction on the game, man, coming into this weekend. What are you thinking? What are you leaning? Eagles big win? What's your prediction coming into this weekend?
Exactly what I did on my live show with Josh on Wednesday night. It's Eagles by 10. I think I want to say I said, 27-17 was the number that I went with. I see double digits. I think if it's not double digits and it's a close win, fans are still going to be very, very upset. I think they need to go out and win by 10, 14, 17. This needs to be a nice, comfortable win. And all we got to do is make sure we don't have a recreation of the Arizona Cardinals game last year, because that was a game where we all said, oh my gosh, they're at home. They're obviously going to win this game. The Cardinals are, and then Kyler looked fantastic, right? It was like still kind of slightly injured Kyler with no weapons on the outside, and he dominated our defense. And all of us were like, okay, this season's officially over. Close the book on it. We're going to have, serious problems the rest of the way. And we did, right? So as long as we don't have a letdown like that, they get this big win off the bye, double digits. And then you guys mentioned it, the next 4 weeks, it's pretty simple. If they can just put together a little span here and get to that Dallas game sitting at what? Be 4-2, I believe, with the calculations. I mean, anything's possible. So go on a run here. Let's get rolling. And I think they win by at least 10. I'll go 27-17, but I'm hoping they score 30 tomorrow or on Sunday.
I like 27-17. That's a good score.
At Real Thomas Mott, let me give you this, and make sure you watch Thomas' tremendous show. Does a great job on YouTube himself. You can watch his show. When's your next one, by the way?
Probably tomorrow morning. I got to decide. We got to kind of wait and see what news happens today in terms of which Browns players are going to play or not, but probably tomorrow morning.
Yeah. That is a long injury report. So, get ready for that. But, what if it's a win, but a win by the skin of their teeth type game? How are you feeling coming out of that type of scenario?
Yeah, I mean, if Jalen throws an interception, gets strip sacked, the defense gets worked on a couple of drives, and they win 21-20, I think a lot of fans are going to start checking out, guys. And the content creator in me kind of monitors these things because there is an ebb and flow. I'm sure you guys see this too in terms of people that check in after a big win. They love it. They're pumped. And then people that check in after a big loss, a lot less people do. And you saw that with the Bucs game. And so from that perspective, you're just hoping for a win. But from a fan perspective, I too am going to start to really not buy into this football team. I mean, the entire show here, I think I've kept saying like, well, just get a win, get rolling. The roster's good. It'll all be fine. But if it's skin of their teeth, John, I think most of us are going to be like, okay, this is not going to happen. And we'll still try and convince ourselves, beat the Giants, then you're, 500 and NFC, but this has got to be a big win, I think. It just has to be a clean win. Maybe they only win, 20-14 and kind of a lower scoring matchup, but it's a clean win. They have a couple of nice drives, a couple of sacks. They turn over the football in terms of picking off Deshaun Watson. Like, we can work with these things. But if it's 21-20, they kick a game-winning field goal, Hurts has multiple turnovers, the defense gets worked with no sacks and no picks of Deshaun Watson, then I think a lot of us are going to start to kind of check out on the idea that this is a playoff football team.
Yeah, I think the way they do it, if it's close, is what matters the most. I'm okay with it being close because we saw last year what playing your best football in September and October does, right? Like I want to play our best football after Thanksgiving. The old Tom Brady quote: "Football starts after Thanksgiving."
Right.
I mean, so if they can just play cleaner football, as you mentioned, and kind of ramp up later in the year or start to find their rhythm through each week, I'd be good with that. But you're right, if they have a bunch of turnovers and that, it's going to be ugly. Thomas, thanks for joining the show today, man. Make sure you guys go check out his YouTube channel, one of the best on YouTube, covering this team at the Thomas Mott Show. So go check him out. Follow him on Twitter at Real Thomas Mott. Thomas, thanks, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Myself and Josh Davis will be live for the Eagles game, obviously for our standard watch party right around 12:45, 12:50 is when we go live, just before game time. Hit that sub button, turn the notification bell, and join us for hopefully a stress-free Birds win, but we'll see. I'm Thomas Mott. On Saturday, this has been the Thomas Mott Show.